Here we are, post-game show, the final regular season post-game show.
Is this a final regular season post-game show, or is it?
There's no other regular season, Jimmy.
Show?
Or the first
show.
postseason show.
Jimmy always gotta.
It's a little bit of the glass half full, half empty debate here. Which one is it?
Relax, homeschool. Relax. Okay, just relax.
He's been
Really
driving in
feisty.
school.
Hey, I'm just glad to be here, folks.
Yeah. Well, let's set the table, and then I'll just kind of preview how the entire show is going to go. Some of us are going to say this was really bad playing Brooklyn, and then some people will say it's not, and then the chat will say you guys are cowards and losers and you don't believe in the Celtics,
and idiots.
And we're going to do this for an hour or so, and it is what it is. But you know, there's still a lot to talk about, and here we go. As I was saying, somebody's time for the fear show. Again, this all comes.
You think you had Sunday scaries now, folks?
Sunday scaries. The entire thing is whether or not you are afraid of Brooklyn and the likelihood that you end up playing them or not. And some people are. Some people are not, and those people are insane. But that's what the whole thing comes down to. And then why did they do this? Did they want to? Did they care? Did they position themselves for 2? Did they not want to be 4 for any reasons? These are all things we're going to talk about. But what we know is the Celtics have finished as the 2nd seed after their win over the Grizzlies. They will now play the 2-7 winner, which is either Brooklyn or Cleveland. Brooklyn has home court for that game. It's going to be played on Tuesday, and we're going to do a show right after that to preview the first round opponent. I'm just springing this on you guys now, but anyone wants to join me Tuesday night, anyone wants to join me, we are jumping on. We're going to talk about who the Celtics opponent is once we know for sure.
Cleveland.
And who knows, right?
I'm telling. Listen.
Sherrod said that last month.
Everyone is assuming that Cleveland is just going to lay down and bow down and let Brooklyn beat the snot out of them. But here's the thing. The Cleveland team that Brooklyn plays on Tuesday is significantly better than the Cleveland team we've seen the last couple of weeks because of Evan Mobley's return. He's only been, I think, back a game or two. This is the guy that was the leading front runner for Rookie of the Year pretty much most of the season. And when
Allen could be back too.
Right. Without him, they're a significantly different team. Obviously, with him, they are a legitimate threat. And remember, the one area where Brooklyn has been weak, their whole defense is weak, but the one area where they're really weak is on the interior. Evan Mobley, he can cause major jamming. Now, do I think Brooklyn will win? Yeah, but would I be shocked if Cleveland pulled the upset off? No, because again, Brooklyn is a horrible team defensively, and Cleveland is going to be a better team offensively and defensively when they play Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm not going to say – I'm going to be surprised if Brooklyn doesn't win this game. You get the 2 best players.
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the 2 best players on the court by far, and they're at home. They have every reason to win this game. If they don't win this game, that's pathetic. They should just blow up the Nets at that point because then they obviously don't have winning DNA. So I would actually be.
They started that process when they traded away Harden.
They should completely blow it up. But I will say right now, I will actually be very surprised if Brooklyn doesn't win against the Cavs. No offense to the Cavs. I just think Brooklyn's that good where they should win that game by whatever the whatever the amount is that Vegas picks, they should cover that spread.
When Kevin Durant dropped 55 points and was efficient with it and they lost, at that point, that's when I kind of eased up on the man, this Brooklyn team is kind of scary. When Kevin Durant, the best player on the floor, can have an efficient game where he hits you with a double nickel and you still lose?
Yeah.
So
it's like the first time Tyson took a punch, right? You know, like
it's like
it's like, wait a minute, that can happen? Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's why I think it's going to be an interesting game, but I do think the Nets pull out of that. I mean, they're going to be able to
pull out of it.
Yeah,
let me ask you guys a question.
Right, but
let me ask everybody here a question. Why did the Celtics play? Why did the Celtics play to win tonight? You guys can go around the horn with this one. I can't. Well, I asked everybody. I asked people. I was actually gonna get into it just a second ago, but honestly, I think it's just the way Ime's been doing things. I don't think Ime wants to ever put out that message that, oh guys, we want to line up.
I disagree with that, Josue, because they
let Josue finish.
Yeah, but Bobby, at the end of the day, it was about winning. Like, I don't think they're going to go into this game and rest all their starters because they're looking at the standings. I mean, he even said it before the game, Bobby. He said, listen, we don't even know if the team that everyone's so scared of is going to actually be there. To Sherrod's point, we don't know if Cleveland if they can beat Brooklyn or not. Even if that does happen, you have to put that message out to your team that, look, I want you guys to win. I want you to keep this thing going. I don't want to show any signs of weakness.
Why do they and not the other teams? Why did Milwaukee not have to do that then by that rationale?
Because other teams have a different philosophy. I mean,
so look, you're saying the defending champs have the wrong philosophy and the Celtics have the right one because the Bucks chose their seeding.
I don't think it's a right or wrong philosophy. I just think that's just their approach right now. They're afraid.
That's the other question. Durant. Why did the Bucks choose? Why did the Bucks choose 3? Because it was theirs. They had the shot. And forget about where the Celtics ended up. Why did the Bucks intentionally
the Bucks
tank what happened
out of the two?
Last time they played against that team, though, I mean,
fine.
You kind of understand why they're afraid. It's like, and Kyrie wasn't in that series, so yeah. I mean, you can understand why the Bucks are afraid. But if you're the Celtics, you can't worry about that. You can't look at other teams and say, "Oh, they're doing it. We got to do the same."
Why
thing.
Can't you?
Because then you're showing
weakness,
John.
You don't want to
weakness.
Yes, if I'm a player in that locker room, I'm like, well, wait a minute, coach. Your philosophy has always been.
The Patriots have won Super Bowls ducking teams in the first round before.
Here's the difference too.
This is different.
We're talking about
the best of 7. It's not a one and done. It's the best of 7.
Yeah.
We're talking. You know what I think it is. I think the reason they wanted to win this game and get the number 2 seed was because they thought that whoever they play in that 7-8 winner is a weaker team than they would play if they dropped down to 4.
You think so?
I think it's that simple because the more I watch Brooklyn play, the more I watch Cleveland play. If you were the Boston Celtics and you get to pick who you play in the first round, and you get to pick 3 teams that you want to play in the first round, I guarantee you Brooklyn and Cleveland would be 2 of those 3 teams.
Okay, let me ask this question.
Why?
Hold on. Why though?
Why?
Yeah.
Because they're not that good.
Hold on. Time out. Let me ask this question, please. Okay. I understand we have seen Brooklyn not play defense. Nobody thought they could play defense prior to the season when they picked them to be the runaway NBA champs. Okay. And I know that team had Harden, and I know things have changed there, but nobody ever accused them of being a team that could play defense, and it didn't matter. They were overwhelming, prohibitive favorites to win. So this defense isn't a revelation that we watched some games recently and realized they can't play defense. What I'm saying here is let's pretend all season long KD never hurt his knee and missed 20 games and they lost 12 in a row. And let's pretend Kyrie Irving played in every single home game all season. Are you telling me they're the 7 seed right now? No freaking way.
Yeah, but that's a completely different team.
So the team you're playing now is the team that if they had their players all year would have probably been a force.
That's not true because they had the Harden situation turn up.
I'm saying if Kyrie played every year and Durant doesn't get hurt, they're 5, 6, 7, 8 wins better and probably in the 4-5 seed conversation. It just is true. They lost 10, 12 games.
Yeah, but they would have had Harden.
You're right, but the same could be said if the Celtics would have didn't wait till Marcus Smart had to call him out to actually start playing.
That's not what I mean.
They would have won more games. That changed the team. Right.
That's different.
Probably won more games. And you'd have the same issue, though.
It's not. It's different. What I'm saying is it's not saying their record would be better. I'm saying we're viewing them as a team that has the record of a 7 seed as opposed to a team that now has every piece together.
What's their record since all those guys came back together? It's not
with
good.
Potentially Ben Simmons also joining.
Record.
They would be a different team. So we're not worrying about like Marcus turned the team around. I think these two things are totally separate, totally separate buckets. Celtics changed the way that they played. The Nets team just was incomplete, and now they're as complete as they can be.
Their record's bad since Kyrie came back full time.
And I understand that. But are you guys telling me if these guys played all year, they would be the 7 seed? That's all I'm asking.
They would be a higher seed.
Much higher seed.
But the problem that we're seeing, John, is that I agree. We all agree that this team from day one was going to be bad defensively. But when you watch them now, they're worse than we thought. And that's why I'm down on them. They're not just bad. They're not even giving like average effort. And listen, we can talk about.
Don't you think
Kyrie
that'll change? Don't you think that changes in the playoffs a little bit?
No, I don't think it'll change because they've had so much incentive during the regular season to play better when they got their guys together, and it didn't matter. And again, we're talking about Kevin Durant. We're talking about Kyrie. Part of the blame probably has to go to Steve Nash. I don't know what the hell he's done this year. I don't. I don't know what his purpose is other than to really have some really cool sneakers that he walks up and down the court with. Because I do like his sneakers. His sneaker game is kind of nice. I can't front.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
But what is he bringing to the table?
He listen. If you
They're 13 and 15 since Kyrie came back.
If you want to talk about coaching, yeah, I mean the Nets don't have much of an advantage in the coaching side of things, but they do
leans
have
heavily on his star players to get it done, and they're just not. They're putting up numbers, but they're not putting up wins, as Bobby just pointed out.
They're putting up numbers.
5 and 4 since.
But they knew that
I know, guys.
They knew they were going to be in the play. They knew that.
But that's your point, John. You're saying they would have been a menace if they had the full unit.
So you believe they'd be worse? You're saying they'd be worse if those guys played all year
They'd be 500
because they're 13 and 15 now. So therefore, based on that sample size, they would have been a few games under 500 if those guys played all year.
That's what you think. Better if they play. I think they'd be better. If they played.
They'd be over 500.
I don't think they'd be significantly better. I think they would be better.
Really?
John's point. I think they would be in that 4 because the East is so tight.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be in that 4, 5, 6
That's enough
conversation.
To be exactly.
They would be absolutely in that conversation, but they're relying too much on their best players, and frankly, the gap between teams having 3, 4, 5 guys that can score versus the Nets who have 2. That gap isn't as wide as we thought it was. That's why Kevin Durant can go out and give you 55 and lose. That should never happen. That would never have happened before this season. Never happened. And again, I go back to the fact that, again, the central figure in the blockbuster trade that they made is nowhere to be found. So that's
the other factor we have to talk about.
That's a huge
what's
void.
His role going to be in all
that's
this?
That's a huge void.
Yeah. He either swings the series in a positive direction or he tanks them completely and he can't play in the fourth quarter. I'll be stunned if he plays in the series. I really will be. This isn't the time to throw him back out there. And
when is the time? After you lose the series? I mean,
next year.
Now or never.
Next year.
Then they wouldn't be even talking about it.
I'm of the mindset that I'm going to throw him out there now. We have nothing to lose.
You're talking about a team that can't defend, and you have the best defender in the NBA or one of them, and literally all you're worried about is stopping 2 of the most explosive wings in the playoffs right now in Tatum and Brown. You have no one who can do it, and you're going to just let that guy sit on the bench because of chemistry? No, you're going to get out there and be like, follow that guy around.
It's more than chemistry. Is he in shape? Is he ready to roll?
Even if you get 20 minutes of it, it's better than the alternative.
Whatever he can give you is more than anyone else in your team could give you as from a defensive. And plus, you got rid of James Johnson, which I'm not really understanding that because he was your best multi-positional defender. So to me, it makes even more sense to play Ben because you've already gotten rid of the one.
And that might be a signal that he's coming back. It could be.
Yeah, it may be. It may be.
Again, I'll just ask this: the last time these two teams played, the Celtics had everyone. The Nets had just those guys. They didn't have Ben Simmons. The Celtics squeaked out a win, and Jason Tatum scored 56 points at home. Okay? Do you think that that's not indicative of the type of games you're going to get with these two guys, with these two teams? And Kyrie didn't play a great game. And they squeaked out a win at home when Tatum dropped 50-something.
The Rob loss comes into play here.
So it's all about the Rob loss. We wouldn't be having this conversation with Rob
John wouldn't be remotely concerned if John.
I wouldn't be nearly. I said, I thought they would have cakewalked any first round series with their complete team. The way they were playing, I didn't fear anybody. I just think this opens up the possibility more than any of the other opponents. That was always the argument. Not that they're definitely going to lose.
The expectation be that they win, though.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. I don't think anyone would disagree with
where
that.
I'm at.
I think it should be that
people expecting the surprise.
But it's not going to be. It's the hardest. It's the hardest matchup of the 3.
It's not going to be easy.
All they had to do today was lose, and they would have guaranteed either the Bulls or the Raptors. All they had to do today was
what did Philly do?
Philly won, right?
Philly won. They won.
So this is the other conversation where Jimmy was trying to get at. Realistically, you had to go in tonight knowing you were the 2 or the 4, and they picked the 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing I was going to mention earlier is the Raptors are on fire. I mean, they're a hotter team than the Nets are right now, and the Nets have been scoring like crazy. I know you guys don't believe it, but I would have had the Raptors over the Celtics in a series between those two teams.
What?
So,
I do believe it, Bobby.
I don't believe that. I think you would have actually.
I believe that.
If it happened.
I would have. I think they had the length, the defenders, the disruptiveness to make Boston stagnant. Brooklyn doesn't have that. And listen, I know that
I get it, Bobby, but the Celtics did literally.
But think of how easy
almost beat them
Bobby,
down 4 starters.
If you're going to build that route,
in Toronto, in a game Toronto wanted to win.
You got to lead with Jalen, the possibility of him not being able to play in Toronto.
That's the other thing.
That would be like the the top of the list. I'm surprised you didn't lead with that. But
no, it's
really
hand in hand. I mean, they're top 5 team over the last month or so here too. Like they're not a bunch of
Celtics aren't?
chumps. Yeah, the Celtics are there too.
So why are you taking the Raptors if the Celtics have home court advantage?
Because of Brown. The Brown situation. Now, if he's
so
available for all 7 games.
That's what it comes down to. So that's what it comes down to is the Celtics made a lot of these decisions today. It seems like because it sounds like Jaylen Brown wouldn't have been able to play in Toronto. Otherwise, they probably roll the ball out there and don't try to win this game. Teams do position themselves for matchups. Teams do position themselves for certain matchups.
They do.
Even on the Jason Tatum, Josue, the Jason Tatum podcast, when he was on with JJ Redick, both Tatum and Redick talked about teams that were positioning themselves in a specific year. I think it was might have been last year or the year before.
Last year, everyone was trying to get to the 4, right? To play Dallas, was it?
Utah.
So what did the Bucks do today? They rolled the ball out there and they said, "Yo, we'll take the Bulls or the Raptors. We're fine with either of those teams. We murdered the Bulls this year. We'll figure it out against the Raptors." They didn't play well against the Raptors for whatever reasons this year. But I think they honestly said, would rather just play one of those 2 teams and worry about home court advantage. The Celtics, probably the same thing, said, listen, we probably don't want to go to Toronto, so we're gonna just play to win the game. And if it's Brooklyn, fine, we're gonna have to play Brooklyn, I guess. Otherwise, I don't know why they wouldn't rather just play a worse team. The Raptors, talent-wise, are worse than the Nets. The Bulls are probably
close, Jimmy.
The Bulls are probably the worst playoff team in the East, the way they're playing right now. So why wouldn't you take that chance and try to play the Bulls? Now, all that being said, if you're the Celtics, you think you can beat any team, then fine, whatever. Play. Work on a couple of things before the week off. And, go into the playoffs on a high note. So at the end of the day, I'm still picking the Celtics over if it's the Nets and the Cavs. I'm still picking them. I just think it's going to be a more difficult task to get the job done because you're playing 2 superstars.
Yeah, I would co-sign on your conspiracy theory if Toronto hadn't been playing so well. I would co-sign on your conspiracy theory if Toronto didn't have guys who have come up big in big games, who for whatever reason, whether it's injuries, whether it's COVID, whatever, they just haven't had a lot of time together. And yet the last, I'd say, month or so, they have had time together. And guess what? They're kicking a lot of people's ass along the way.
I agree, Sherrod. And you know what frustrates me? They're not going to get to show it here because Philly's such a bad matchup for them. They don't have anyone to throw at Embiid.
It is, but they're going to have. That's where I think Nick Nurse has got to do that Nick Nurse magic and just find ways to just junk up the game. He's one of the better coaches, I think, at junking the game up to give his team a chance to be successful. Toronto makes me nervous because they're playing good. It's not whether you're Jaylen Brown, that's it. Now, Jimmy, I agree. That has to be something that you give some thought about because we don't really know the answer to that. But I'm less convinced that it's because of that. Because of the way Toronto is playing.
Let's say it was that.
If Toronto were playing really bad and the Celtics went out there and they went all hard out to get that number 2 seed, I would be on your side with that, Jimmy, because that wouldn't make sense to me. It wouldn't make sense to me. Why would you play a team? Why would you want to avoid playing a team that's slumping as opposed to playing a team like Brooklyn who's got 2 of the best players? But that's not the case. Toronto's playing really good basketball right now.
John, would you rather have no Brown in Toronto or the Nets?
Look, that's the thing. The zillion-dollar question will never fully get answered. What would have they been missing if they played Toronto? I think you're going Nets, no question about it. I think full squad, if they know everyone was ready to play against Toronto, and there have been some indications maybe that was going to be the case, it still was murky. But if they knew, I would think Toronto would be the better matchup. That's who you want to play. Again, Bobby, I know they've been playing well, but the Celtics sent up their a G League roster there and almost knocked them off in Toronto a week ago. The way that the Celtics were playing, I would not have been worried about Toronto.
And they,
not at all, honestly. I know they were playing well, but I feel like every game.
I'm not a Siakam believer either.
Every game would have been at arm's reach. Jaylen Brown friggin' is Siakam's daddy. I think they would have. I think they would have demolished Toronto.
Here's the difference.
That's a huge thing. Really if you don't have Jaylen shutting down Siakam for 3 of the 7 games, that's a huge X factor. It's an if, but it's true.
No, we'll never know, as John said. Just on paper, the Raptors have a lot of guys to throw at the Jays, and this is what I've been saying about the Nets. I know we just keep brushing over the defense thing, but who's going to guard Tatum and Brown in this series? I don't know.
The answer is probably nobody, and the question is, does it matter?
That's the point. Every game, and let's look at the numbers. The Celtics are right up there with the Nets among
a
the best
shootout every
offenses.
game, and you're without arguably your most important defensive piece, which it is what it is. But that's the problem: is you're going to match offense versus defense without your defense is incomplete.
But your offense is great too right now.
The offense has been playing great, and so that's what you're hoping for. But again, it's just I don't believe anybody else would have challenged the Celtics deeply here in the first round, even without Rob.
Yeah.
But again, it's why did they choose it is really a question we're just not going to get answered.
No.
It's just strange, that's all. But I mean, we can't sit here and complain. They get the 2 seed. It's honestly unbelievable that here we are talking about the Celtics and
it's insane.
2 seed. This is a team that 3 months ago
the 2 seed. Come on.
Going to make the playoffs. Honest to God, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. So we're talking about seeding. I guess it's a good problem to have, and it's going to be fun. I hope it is the Nets because that's going to be a ton. We talked about it on the last show. Give us the Nets. It'll be fun. It'll be a great series. It's just not the easiest.
It's going to be so much fun.
For the theater, we wanted the Nets for the intrigue of the matchup, or Toronto to see what the hell was going on here. So that's what we ended up with. But what Jimmy pointed out here, I think, is worth mentioning. Celtics went
clicking. Is that me?
Yeah.
Celtics went 28-7 over the final.
Josue.
No, I think it's John. You're right. John, I think your mic's
having some static in your mic.
My mic?
Yeah.
No, now I'm not hearing it.
Now it's completely gone. Never mind.
Sorry about that.
If you couldn't hear it, it's you.
Celtics went 28-7
just like
over the final 35 games of the year. Going from they were 23-24 and the 11th seed, and they rose up to here to the 2nd seed.
It was insane. Have you ever seen anything like it, John?
So
have you ever seen a single season turnaround in season like this? It was nuts.
No, nothing like it.
This team was done. MSG 25-point collapse. I said it right there. I'm like, this is done. Blow it up.
Yeah,
make a trade. Are you kidding? I mean,
facts, my dog.
We were still talking about the playing tournament. You were like, yo, this is a rebuild.
It was
figure out who you want to keep and trade either Tatum or Brown.
Yeah.
Like, you were full blown.
Trade them both.
Easy. Yeah, trade them both.
Well, I didn't say trade Brown. You couldn't do that, but they needed to do something. They didn't. They stayed patient.
You were close, Bobby. You were
credit
close.
to Steve.
Bobby, you did say blow it up. So.
You did. You got really close.
But
we were really
Marcus was gone. Yeah,
we were really worried about you for a while there, Bobby. You went to a dark place, my man.
He wanted to tank. He started looking up like the NBA draft.
What we watched in December and January was absolutely despicable, and they literally on a dime just boom, just like that, they changed. And I still don't know what it is. Marcus Smart and his approach was a big part of it. Jason Tatum started passing the ball at a high level, and the defense certainly reached another level over the next month or so there. But I still don't. How did everybody just simultaneously on this roster wake up the way they did and just start playing perfect basketball for the remainder of the season? It's startling. Like I've been looking for the answer all season. I still haven't been able to find out exactly what it was that woke this group up.
I mean, even Brad recently, I forget where it was, on an interview, said the same thing. He's like, one day, like, things just started to click. He said he could start to see it turning at some point, and then the light went off for some of these guys.
What did Jalen tweet?
The energy's about to shift.
Energy's about to change.
And then the energy shifted. Yeah.
And then it shifted just like that. Mental. It was mental.
Kind of
the talent was there.
I agree, Jimmy.
It was just putting it all together. And,
you agree that?
No, it was mental. Ime came out after that Knicks game and said, we need some kind of mental toughness. Things need to stop snowballing in these games. We need a leader to step up. And Josue, we were there in Washington. A leader did step up. Smart had a heavy hand in this turnaround. Tatum's obviously number one. He changed his game. His offense completely transformed after a rough start there. But Smart, as he said in his own words, got the hell out of the way. Or it might have been a more explicit term. Get the F out of the way. He just started passing the ball, focusing on his point guard role, shooting less, and it had a dramatic impact.
Right. And I feel like it just trickled down, right? And Marcus started everything with the accountability. I mean, that was the one thing that we complained about a lot last year, or we didn't see enough of that, accountability. I feel like Marcus got that started in the first few weeks. Like, look, we're not going to do this again, you know? And of course, he took a lot of heat for that. Of course, his play wasn't, sharp enough for people to be like, well, how about you? You should be the first one to be, leading the example. But then he did, and I feel like Ime getting everyone to commit to defense was obviously a big part of this. But then also Tatum Brown, maybe it was after that New York game that Bobby was just talking about. Tatum talked about it during the JJ Redick podcast. Him and Brown finally had that uncomfortable conversation. They're finally on the same page. They made sure at least that they're on the same page now, and I think that was a big step in this too.
You're right, Josue. Yeah, Jalen talked about that recently. He was asked, "Do you think all the talk about breaking you guys up and then this not working made you guys closer?" And he said it probably did. We had to address it more. We had to talk about it more. We had to come together for that conversation, like you said, Josue. That's when it was, right after that Knicks collapse.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that
they
definitely
actually
had a role in it too.
The funny thing about it, all of it is, those guys, how much heat did we catch for saying like Tatum and Brown having trouble playing together? They can't figure it out. They're not complimenting each other, and that spun as like this fake media narrative. And then Jaylen Brown comes out and says, "Yeah, we had to actually question whether or not we were able to play together and what we needed to do to be better, and like put it out there in the open, like." We got to do something to make this work, man. What are we doing? And they had that conversation and they did it. But,
uncomfortable conversation.
That's all it took. Josue, hashtag Josue was right. All it
Josue's
took was
biggest contribution. That's it. Sherrod, what were you going to say?
I said it back in 2020.
Sherrod, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that when you are looking at teams that had the potential to win a championship, at some point that conversation has to come up. Shaq and Kobe, they had that conversation. Unfortunately, Shaq and Penny did not have that conversation, and you saw how that turned out. So you can't grow if everything is comfortable. Growth doesn't come with comfort. Growth is a painful. Yes. It's messy. It's ugly, but it's necessary if you're trying to win at the highest level. And I'm just glad that Jalen and Jason finally figured out that at some point they needed to have that conversation. That's really, when you think about Marcus Smart, when he talked about those guys need to pass the ball more, that was the opening a portal to having that uncomfortable but necessary conversation. I don't think that conversation that Jalen and Jason eventually would have had would have occurred if Marcus didn't kind of put it out there that, they're not doing the shit that we need to do to win. Right. They're just not doing it.
Yeah. And Jimmy was right. It was all mental. It was all approach.
It's almost all the time it's mental. I mean, that's the part of the game that I swear is so underrated. The talent that these NBA players have is there's a marginal difference between them in terms of ability. It's the attitude. It's the mentality. I mean, Kevin Garnett is a great player, but his mentality on many, many nights willed him to outperform guys because they may have had similar talents and skills, but his mentality intimidated them and frankly made them a weaker player. That's what you need. You got to have that mentality. I mean, there were moments in this Memphis game where Tatum was like 9 for 11 shooting. At one point, I can't remember his name, John Conchar, who had like a triple-double tonight. He's guarding Tatum tight. Really, he's guarding Tatum tight, and he's kind of like, I'm on you. And Tatum just raised up, knocked down the three, shook his head at him, and kept going. Subtle things like that.
If we're gonna talk about tonight's game, that stretch by Tatum in the halftime was silly. Oh my god, 17 to 26 in a minute.
This was one of the best stretches, and maybe the best stretch shooting a ball I've seen Tatum have ever. I mean, he was unconscious out there, and you didn't feel like he was forcing the action. He was literally taking what they were giving him, and then when they decided to get up on him, they couldn't stop him. Could not stop him.
This team's gotten pretty hot from three overall. I was looking since the deadline, 39% from deep, one of the best teams. Tatum,
Freehauser,
Horford,
Pritchard.
I got Hauser stuff to say, but I'll save it for the fall.
Or ever.
Whoa.
Well, let's just put that in a time capsule, Bobby. Just put that in a time capsule.
Little tease for the fall shows.
We'll address Hauser again in the fall.
Get the people coming back for more.
Ime might have to use that at some point during the playoffs. You never know. I don't know.
Horford, Pritchard, White even. I mean, there's a lot of guys shooting the ball at a high level right now. And that's going to have to stay up. As you said, John, a lot of these games against Brooklyn are going to have to be track meets per se. So they're going to have to keep shooting the ball at that high level. And a lot of it is the movement. And this is something, if we talk about who gets credit for this turnaround, Ime's steadiness. I mean, when they were shooting the ball terrible at the beginning of the year, no one believed them, but he kept saying, the shot quality's there. We're looking at the numbers, the expected efficiency, the potential assists, and we were all laughing. But He was right. Like the shooting on this team turned around, the ball movement. They trusted it to a level where they became a top 10 passing team, top 5, even since Rob went down in assist percentage. They're getting, 60, 70% of their baskets assisted on every night. And that is the biggest transformation by far over last year's team, which ranked 27th in assist percentage. We all remember Ime making fun of Brad at the presser. So a lot of credit goes to Ime, but that area, the passing, I feel like is his biggest impact, as well as the defense. I mean, how hard was that defense last year that the Celtics played? It was disgraceful. Like, I hated watching that team because of that defense in particular. And that scheme he brought, putting Rob off the ball, putting him in shot blocker mode, switching everything. I think we all doubted that at times earlier this year. It all worked. So Ime came in with a plan and he executed to a T.
Yeah, but the reason we doubted the switching was because they weren't doing it right.
Right.
They were switching everything. There would be a guy that they were defending, and then they would just automatically switch, and the guy would be wide open.
But it takes time.
It does take time. It does take time. And they figured it out eventually. But again, to me, the biggest, the most significant move that Ime made was making Rob essentially a free safety defensively.
Yeah.
Just allowing him to roam that back line. That, to me, that was the ultimate game changer for this team to be where they are now. If he doesn't make that one move, I don't think we're talking. Hell, I know we're not talking about them as the number 2 seed. Hell, we might be talking about them as the play-in seed.
That made us start talking about them as a championship contender. I mean, that's the level it took this team to.
Yeah. And the fact that they've done it long enough to where no one has figured out how to exploit it. And that's the scary part for the rest of the East, is that they've had more than enough time to figure out how do we exploit this defense that the Celtics are using. And they can't, because Celtics perimeter defenders do a pretty good job of keeping their guys in front of them. So you don't get a lot of opportunities to dribble, drive, and penetrate. And when you do, you've got Rob, who's not only is he blocking shots, but Rob was able to block shots into the hands of teammates so they could then initiate the transition game, fast break, and where often he was a trailer, just rim running the way he can do and able to finish. So they're going to miss that in that first round against Brooklyn. That or Cleveland. I would.
No, don't go Bobby now. Don't go saying.
I'm not going to go Bobby on you because I had it.
I guarantee the Cavs are going to win. I think I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I worry about Cleveland only because Cleveland has something in their lineup that you don't really have.
It's Jared Allen. Does he play or does he not? If he doesn't play, they have no chance. If he plays and he's himself, they have a chance.
They have the potential to have certain things that if those things are in place, they could be trouble. But again, Brooklyn, we know what they can do. They've got two of the most explosive scorers, guys that combined are going to get you probably 60, 65 points a night. So the key, if you're the Celtics, what do you do with the rest of those guys? Because Kyrie and Durant are going to get theirs no matter what.
You know who the X factor is? Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
This is a guy who was out of the lineup for them. I don't know what Steve Nash was doing.
I can't understand that one.
Yeah, and he gets back in. Other guys don't work. All of a sudden today, I think he started the game 7 for 12 against Indiana. He's a roller. He's a finisher who plays off other guys.
He's not just a shooter too. Yeah, like you said, he's a roller. He can cut. He can.
Yeah, and he was useless against the Celtics in the last game. Rob just played off him, and it worked perfectly. Can you do that now that he's kind of hit his stride here? That's going to be a big difference. Plus Seth Curry, who I didn't feel was that comfortable in the first matchup between these teams in his new role. He had only been there a week or two at that point. He's another guy. Yeah, he's another guy that you worry about in terms of a matchup. But you put, say, Jaylen Brown on him and see where that goes. Smart guards Kyrie, Tatum guards Durant. Problem on the other side is, Durant didn't guard Tatum in that game, which was shocking to me. Maybe you get Simmons back and he can do that. But other than Durant, who are you looking at to guard a Tatum and a Brown on that side? I'm with you, Sherrod. I just don't know what Brooklyn can do defensively in this series.
Because Kyrie's got to guard somebody.
Yeah.
In that starting lineup.
What did they do in crunch time, Sherrod? They went right at Kyrie with Tatum.
Yeah, as they should. As they should. I mean, Kyrie defensively, this is what Kyrie, when he gets beat, he's going to try to poke it from behind. Yeah. All you got to do is keep the dribble strong, let him poke.
Always does that, yeah.
Get some contact and get his ass on the bench with foul trouble because he's going to do that. That's his style of defense, poking from behind. It's hard to do that when you're guarding Tatum because of all that length. So Kyrie, again, I wouldn't say you necessarily, to me, I think the game plan was great where you went at Kyrie down the stretch. If it's a close game, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of sprinkle in going at Kyrie through the first 3 quarters, but come money time, I'm going at him hard. Like, we're going to call at least 4 consecutive plays specifically designed to get an ISO situation with him and Tatum, Brown, whoever he matches up with. That's the guy I'm going to. Because
What's your gut tell you about this series, Jimmy, if it's the Nets?
My gut tells me that this is going to be a dogfight. But I still like the Celtics. But listen, you talk about the best players in the series. How do you rank them? The top 4 players.
Oh, good question.
Top 4?
I'll ask you. Yeah, the top 4 players in the series. Who's first?
Durant,
second?
Kyrie,
don't ask me.
Tatum, Brown.
So you just admitted that the 2 best players in the series are on the opposite team. So why
you could argue?
Would you want to play that team?
Whoa.
No, you didn't say. You said name them. You didn't say name them in order. You just said name them.
No, I mean,
it's probably Durant, Tatum.
You're about to spark it.
It's probably Durant, Tatum, Irving, Brown.
Yes, that's my order, John. That's my order.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue
Brooklyn,
that's
Boston,
the order.
Boston.
Yeah.
It's like a even
but
split
that being said,
though.
John, Kyrie Irving has the ability to become, at any moment he could be the best player, on the court.
Yeah.
You can say the same thing about Jalen.
Who's the 5th best?
Yeah, I would give Kyrie the nod over that. What's
I
that?
would give Kyrie the nod too, but I'm saying you can say the same thing about Jalen. That's all I'm saying.
Who's the 5th best player in the series?
Ooh, some people put Brown over Kyrie. 5th best player in the series?
5th
Marcus.
I think you got to go Smart.
Yeah.
Marcus, come on. He's having the best season of his career, man.
Because there's literally no one on Brooklyn's roster that would you'd contemplate.
Or you'd say Rob.
Right.
Really?
Rob's probably not going to be in the series.
If he was healthy.
If you went down the line and said who are the 5th, 6th, and 7th best players in the series, you're talking about all Celtics.
That's where Ben Simmons becomes interesting again, because then you're asking, all right, is it Simmons or Smart? Without seeing Simmons, you probably lean Smart. And
you got to go Smart because you have no idea. I mean, we haven't seen
Blake
Ben
Griffin
since what? He was passing up layups in the playoffs.
Just kidding, Blake. I still like you, man. I think
No, Nets fans are going to say Seth Curry.
Blake Griffin. Oh, man. That was funny.
Seth Curry. There's your shooter. That's that shooter.
Yeah, but
that's another key swing guy. There's a lot of swing guys.
I give the edge to Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus.
I do too. He's earned it. He's definitely earned it this year for sure. No doubt
Patty
about
Mills
it.
is creeping,
and he should be able to lock down Kyrie, or at least, I mean, you're not going to lock down Kyrie, but he should be able to pester Kyrie.
Patty Mills has been inconsistent though. He had
that good start after the All-Star break.
Yeah, like he had that good start to the year, and he was consistent. And then ever since, he's just falling off. You don't know who's going to show up each night he plays.
And I have so little respect for this Nets team. Like, it's like the disgust in my voice just comes off when you think of the talent that they have consolidated. Mills, Dragic, Aldrich, Griffin, all these guys that have just become non-factors there. I mean, they've had their pick of the best free agents, best buyout guys, and they've just continued to stack it.
Bobby,
and so John talks about their potential. Like, how many excuses does one team get to make? They have the most talent in the world.
They have the same issue with their bench that the Lakers have with their starting 5 minus LeBron. They're old. At one point, they were really good. That point has passed. They're not that good.
And quickly.
That's why teams are like licking their chops to play them, because they're not that good once you get past 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
If you're talking about if you're talking about a 1-game series, I'd be freaked the hell out about playing them if it was a 1-game series. But a best of 7? No. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I don't see any way the Nets win this series. I really don't. Now, is it going to go long? This is what we were talking in the group chat. I think it could go 6-7 games. I just don't see. Oh, so you're on the shorter end.
5 or 6. I can't see 7.
5 games? Man,
I'm giving them more respect than that.
I'm not.
Just because Durant can steal games, Sherrod. We know what Durant's capable of on his own.
Right, we know what he's capable of. We know he's capable of dropping 55 points and catching an L.
I need to see the Celtics do something in the playoffs too. I mean, they haven't been able to. Last year they didn't have Brown, so
But aren't you a little more confident?
I'm excited.
They are at this point?
I'm excited for Brown to show himself in the playoffs this year after not being able to play last season. So, but I still need to see it before I say, oh, Celtics in 5. I mean, a lot of the wins we talked about. Listen, recently they've had some good wins over some good teams. but the majority of their wins during this turnaround have been against teams that they aren't going to see in the playoffs.
Right.
So I want to see it over a 7-game series. It takes a lot to win. There were a handful
of playoff caliber teams, though, right? You got to remember all those teams.
A handful.
Out
yeah,
west,
it was a handful.
There were a lot of teams from out west that were not playing teams, right? I mean, the Celtics took care of them like it was nothing, like that.
I mean, they went into Philly and beat the crap out of the Sixers.
Oh yeah, man, that was probably the best one.
Where Joel's first bucket came halfway through the second quarter. I don't know if he's had a game like that all season where he went that long without getting the bucket. So they beat the crap out of the teams that they're supposed to, and they handily beat the teams that are supposed to be a challenge. That's what they've done for the most part.
And we can go back to that Nets game. Like, there was a real statement made there in terms of the late game execution of Boston, their defense. Listen, you gave up 120
That's why I'm still
points.
taking the Celtics, but it's again, they beat them, but look what it took. It wasn't, look at this advantage the Celtics have over this Nets team. And again, now without Rob, that's a huge factor in the fact that, you have to do it 4 out of 7 times now. So it's just, listen, it's going to be fun. I still like the Celtics. I mean, I would say Celtics in 7 because I think it's going to be a difficult game.
I'm super intrigued by the Ben thing because
he should play. Why the hell shouldn't he play? He should have played.
I agree.
A month ago, he should be.
It's too late now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he should have played before. Yeah. Like, is there anything called ramping up? And this is a thing across the playoffs here. Like, is Kawhi going to jump right back into the lineup? Is Jamal Murray going to do it for Denver? Are we just going to have a mass of stars just jumping right back into their starting units game 1? It's going to be so interesting to see. But
just drop in like WWE style, music going and stuff.
You throw Simmons into this team. I don't think it's just a neutral thing that's going to be, it's in the middle here. He'll help you out for 20 minutes. It's either going to swing the series strongly in their direction with defense and passing and all the different stuff you think of him at his best, or he's going to be an absolute disaster and sink the ship that's already taken on water here.
There's a third option, which is it has a medium impact too.
I don't think there's a medium impact.
I don't
think he would sink it though. I can't see him being the guy who sink it because he's not the. He's the last one that's going to want to manage to do his own.
What if the Celtics are putting him at the free? The Celtics will put him at the free throw line in TD Garden with everyone chanting his name.
Oh, he's going to get it as soon as he touches the ball. He's going to catch it as soon as he touches the ball. Like, that's a given. Which is why I don't understand the logic in, because this is what happened anyway, right? That's why I don't understand the logic in not ramping him up and why this is even a question at this point. Like, but I don't think if he does play, I don't think he can hurt them. Anything,
we're literally talking about whether
we're
literally talking about whether they have a better closing lineup with him in there or Drummond or him in there or he
also doesn't have to handle
the value over replacement in terms of who he'll be playing over is vast, even if he's 50 to 70% of himself.
Wins over replacement, wins above replacement.
But I'm saying the value over whoever else would be in his place, even
what
if
he hurts their offense, though?
Is so. I mean, he's so much better than anybody they're going to use, even if rusty, even if weird. No, you're going to still play Brown, but you're talking about you can go a smaller lineup to close a game against the Celtics without Rob, where you play Brown and Simmons in there and Durant and Kyrie, and you're not worried about that. That's fine. He comes in there and he plays the 4 and he plays defense on Tatum.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
So much better than what they're going to do.
What if that's his job? What if his job?
He'll get smoked. This guy hasn't played since last spring.
He just has to play defense.
Is he in game shape?
He's very good
Is he in playoff shape?
He's not in any sort of shape. We're literally
48 minutes.
We're literally saying if he plays 20 minutes a game, those are 20 minutes that would have gone to a bum. So it's better than nothing.
It's better than a shot in the dark on the defense. But I do think that's
all.
Way
I'm saying the value over who's going to be eating the 20 to 25 minutes he could play even not in great shape. He's going to be much better than that person. I don't know.
I think huge question mark.
It's not going to have a negative impact. I think that's insane. Right.
Him having been off the floor and not having played a game all season, you know what though? He's still a better defender than anyone on that roster, even with the long.
Not alone.
Life.
Yeah, and so still run. He's still an athlete. Even
he's still better than
he can get up and down the floor. There's no doubt about that. Actually, we haven't seen it.
He's better than what they have.
I saw a video of him shooting 3-pointers. I saw a video of him shooting 3-pointers, so I think he can shoot threes now. One of those workout vids.
That's my level of research.
You always get the Ben Simmons workout video, and it's like, oh, there he is working on his 3. So he might be
a bunch of people
guy.
lined up staring at him.
Wouldn't that be amazing if all Ben Simmons did during this hiatus was just friggin' become a knockdown 3-point shooter with his opposite hand? And he just shows up and he's like a different human.
We'll find out in the first 10 minutes. We're like, oh shit.
Oh god. Who's that guy?
He's an awful defender too.
What do we ask for here?
No, I wouldn't have him.
There's one guy you fear in this series, and his name is Kevin Durant. How far can he take them? That's all you're asking with Brooklyn. I have a little more respect for him than Sherrod does in terms of his ability to be able to pull off some games on his own here, but he is on his own.
Also, he has one of the best point guards who's ever played. But yeah, that's on his own otherwise.
Yeah, Kyrie's been playing well, but the defense is taking an even bigger
hit. But those two,
he's
going to be doing the most. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to figure that out, because they're going to want to do the most. So, especially in Boston.
This is going to be a fun. This is going to be a fun couple weeks.
Bobby, we're going to be outside the garden again, talking to fans, man. It's going to be a good one. We're gonna do a man on the street stuff.
Yeah, we'll be looking for some more Bobbies, some more takes.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm fired up for it. And again, that's my picks. I mean, right now, I don't think we're doing official picks. I think we need to.
I'm waiting till the game. I'm not doing any picks.
We're not doing official picks, but my gut says I'm still gonna lean Celtics here. Because
and then we're gonna find out on Tuesday that Rob's gonna come back by game 3, and then everything's gonna change there too.
That would be sweet. That would be
if there is a game 7, Rob will be playing that.
The timeline.
There won't be a game 7.
The timeline's interesting. I know that got talked about again today. Rob's outlook in terms of timeline. Ime's saying 3 weeks. 3 weeks is possible here. He said, Javonte Green came back in that time frame. He's not. Yeah, we're 2 weeks in now. 3 weeks. You're talking the middle of this series.
Yep.
Now, the Celtics don't expect Rob to be back, but they're not closing the door either.
They're kind of hinting that, don't be shocked. That's the interesting.
They're like, there's a little catnip they're putting out there.
They don't want to put it out there because that's going to create pressure, and anything beyond 3 games, people are going to be like, "Where is he?" But there's a hope. I don't want to freak people out either. I'm actually kind of bullish. I'm kind of bullish on just the way they've been talking, and again. I mean, this is how we read the injury. The way they were talking when he got hurt, I was like, this doesn't sound good. And everyone's like, shut up. But the way they're talking now, it sounds like they're really
I see him in the gym.
Yeah, they're like, I think we're going to get this guy. So
you might do apology cam.
No, what are we talking about?
You might need apology cam status.
Before we were arguing
things that you
nothing.
He had surgery. It was bad.
Nothing pisses John off more than saying he needs to apologize.
There may be an apology cam movement. If Rob Williams,
Rob
Williams plays in the first round, John may have to do an apology.
These things have nothing to do with one another. You understand, right?
The scare tactics.
It's all right, Jimmy.
You realize we were scared because I thought, oh my God, this is bad. What if he tore something? And he did. Versus he'll be fine. He'll be back next game.
Yeah, no, you're right about that, John.
Jesus, what are we doing, guys?
John was worried that we would never see Rob again.
Jimmy's trolling.
Yeah, he's low key.
He totally is.
Which is fine, but let's not because
he got you.
Jimmy, no, I know he's doing it. I'm saying, but they don't know he's doing it.
Yeah, right.
What do you guys think in the chat? If Rob Williams shows up on the court in the first round, we start that night's show with apology cam on.
Yeah, you guys.
Oh man.
You guys for not taking it seriously enough. But the Rob thing is sneaky.
4 weeks is April 27th. The second round doesn't start till May.
Sneaky, kind of, Plus, they love to stretch that first round out. So it's going to be game 1 is on the 17th, game 2 on the 20th, game 3 on the 28th. You know, it's going to be like, you know, they always do this weird stuff.
Used to be one day in between. Now it's like 2.
You're going to go, they're going to be like, honestly, game 1 will be Sunday. Game 2 will be Friday. Like they do this huge gaps there.
Yeah. Am I wrong with this too about this injury, John? Like you're ready to go when you're ready. It's not like the hamstring, which
I think everything everybody is different, and every type of injury, even wherever it's torn and whatever the surgery is different. You know, there are some people who bounce back like that. They're like, I'm good. You know, and then there was others, as we saw with Lonzo, and I know Lonzo had a bone bruise too, and it lingered, and it's so hard to guess, but it sounds like they feel pretty freaking good that like he's working out, and like I think he could play now. You know, like the way they're talking is honestly like they're like
maybe they just want to like hype Rob up a little bit.
Ime said today, sooner rather than later.
Love it. Well, there you go.
So there you go.
We'll take it.
So that's that.
But that's what you should do, though.
The other subplot of this series is obviously, and I know he's sitting here in the chat lurking, and he wants us to talk about it. Is
storyline, baby, storyline.
The storyline of the series: Nick Gelso versus Kevin Durant.
Wow.
The battle that no one saw coming and no one asked.
Nobody saw.
When we woke up
today,
talk about a 1 versus 8 seed here.
A mental game. Edge to Gelso.
KD taking on Gelso. This is a David and Goliath matchup.
But the OG got into the playoffs.
I think I have to give the edge to Gelso going into the series.
Gelso is up 1 game to nothing after this one because he gets under KD's skin, and KD has no reason to find this tweet except he's looking for it.
Except he got tagged in it.
No, he got tagged in it, yeah.
I know what I'm saying is,
how many times you get tagged in stuff?
How many times does Kevin Durant get tagged? And he finds it, and he goes at El Presidente here. Nick Gelso.
Unbelievable.
Goes right at him.
The podcast. What is it? The Podfather.
Couple of heavyweights just battling, going into the playoffs.
The Godfather of podcasting.
The Podfather. That's it.
Yeah, goes right at him. Okay.
I love it.
And that happened. Okay.
If we get this series, this is perfect. I think bring Nick on here.
Is Nick gonna sit in the 3rd row or wherever he sits there and go back and forth?
Sherrod's like, I want off this whole show.
Sherrod was like, you didn't tell me about this shit. Like, what?
I just don't understand like what KD does this. I don't understand why Kevin Durant does this all the time.
But guys, we've all been on.
Are you surprised, Sherrod?
I'm disappointed because I mean, be better than that shit.
I'm
man.
proud of Nick though.
Well, Nick, yeah, but you're a freaking Hall of Famer. What the hell are you doing?
So is Gelso. He's a freaking Hall of Famer.
I'll be honest though. I almost give I gotta give Durant a break because we've all been on the other side of a Gelso.
I'm not going to give him a break. Hell no, Jimmy.
Hell no,
Jimmy. Stop that shit. No, he does not get a break.
You're competing for a play-in tournament, man. Where's your focus at, man? Like, come on. They played today. He fired off that tweet like 3 hours before tip-off. Like, come on.
He needs to worry about the Cavaliers.
I think we've been saying this forever. It's just who he is, you know, for better or for worse. He's going to go at people.
It's the best. Nick, they want you on the stream, buddy, so jump on in and tell us about it, all right? They want you in here.
That might be a interesting clip. But Nick said it. KD is an angry guy.
It might be the best
thing
that ever happened in podcast history.
if Durant and KG jumped in,
Nick's magnum opus.
So I love how we're about 5 minutes into this, but we're not even talking about Nick's tweet. Is John? Let me ask you: is Larry Bird anywhere near Kevin Durant in this conversation? How do you feel
anywhere near?
Yeah.
What do you mean anywhere near? They're
like Larry anywhere Bird, near being the greatest small forward of all time. That's what the original tweet's about.
I think.
Very careful, Josue. You're talking to a boomer.
No, I mean, I don't know.
That's
how
why I said. Let me ask you because I didn't.
Well, I mean, there's no debating anywhere near. It's just whether or not who do you have ahead, and if you do either person, it's slightly ahead. So I hate these landslide arguments. Yeah. They're so stupid.
That's
it's like
fair.
the MVP argument right now. It's this guy by a mile. It's not. It's close. They're all freaking good. The idea right here, you know, Bird, Durant, all timers. You make good cases for both. Bird was
Bird's
a
a
bad
passer.
man. Yeah. And Bird was a passer, and Bird made everything better. And if Bird wanted to lead the league in scoring 10 years in a row, he would have led the league in scoring 10 years in a row.
It's close, right? Okay,
So
because people's acting like it's not even close. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Not even close in
Yeah,
which direction.
we call them casuals, Josue.
Well,
True.
In which direction, Josue? I'm confused. Not close in which direction.
In KD direction.
Oh, God, of course it's close. I mean, in fact, I think
people making it sound like it's not even close.
I think
but,
most all-time lists would tell you Bird's ahead. So it's not only is it close, most people favor Bird historically, I would say. And obviously people who are, newer fans or have been watching mainly NBA over the last 15 years would say KD. I get that. But like if you polled like
nobody
all
under
NBA
30
experts, most lists
Here's
have Bird higher.
The one thing I'll say is this. The one thing that Bird did that I don't know of guys in this buddy era would do is talk shit in the middle of a game and tell cats they about to get scored repeatedly. And Bird did that to all comers.
And he didn't use Twitter fingers. Right?
No,
he said it to your face.
Exactly.
He had games where he shot with his left hand and only shot with his left hand. Come on now. It's closer than people make it out there.
He was a bad man.
Extremely close. If anything, it's actually probably tilted slightly towards Larry. But I mean, you can't argue that. You can't argue that Bird.
Bird was tougher. Bird was way tougher too.
Yeah. Larry's got the more well-rounded game.
Bird would punch you in the mouth. These guys today, they just want to talk. They just want to tweet. They got
but the scoring.
Okay, Boomer Jimmy.
I got them Twitter fingers.
These kids today, they just want to tweet.
All right,
I haven't seen a guy.
You know what Bird would have done?
Stop.
Bird would have knocked Gelso out.
Let's bring in this clown. Okay?
Man.
Fucking
vertical
phone boomer.
What up, Nick?
This guy really thinks.
Defend yourself.
Yes, I don't know. The numbers don't lie, guys. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I think he had one or two categories over Bird, and it was like jarring to look at because you would expect. I expected more. But in anything,
his career numbers,
real quick. It's hard to compare numbers from different areas.
Career numbers are impossible, Josue.
Career numbers,
and they back problems, and he only played like 9 good years, 10 good years. The career numbers are hard to stack up.
So they played, but they played the same amount of games. If you look at the stat, you look at the amount of games. So basically, Bird's career ended right around where KD is at right now. I mean, I really didn't expect him to retweet me. I'm not an attention whore, but damn, I loved the attention. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, you just don't. You're not a whore
Nick,
for it.
How are your replies after that tweet?
My God, don't go there. Yeah, it was not pretty. I mean, Sherrod has probably been there a couple times.
Nick is sideways, right?
I was telling the dudes. No, he was fine.
Okay.
I was telling the guys from Causeway that we should do mean tweets with Nick. Like Jimmy.
Oh God, I can't screenshot.
We're gonna have you on.
Yeah.
One
thing people miss with Bird also is he averaged like 1.4 3-pointers a game. If he played in an era where he utilized his 3-point shot, he would have shot 8, 9, 10 a game and probably averaged closer to 28, 29 points over a career.
Yeah, you saw him in a 3-point contest.
He averaged close to 25 without shooting threes. Okay, he just didn't shoot threes because nobody.
But that's why I was surprised the numbers were so close too. I was like, whoa,
it's ridiculous. Bird
KD has that advantage.
Yeah, Bird could score from anywhere also. I mean, he was one of the best passers who ever played. It's really hard to argue, there's a lot of people. There's just not many people alive who are better than Bird. So any conversation with anybody is close.
It's a tough conversation though, because Durant's just great talent and you've seen him now, right? So he's playing, and to say that Bird may not be your starting in your top 5 because of Durant.
That's not what KD got mad about you. He got mad because you insulted him.
He got mad about the burners, I think. I said, what did he get mad about?
Yeah, you were talking about his burners.
You call him a fraud.
Let's put it up there.
I called him a fraud, and then put it up there.
Let's have you defend your tweet.
He said some hurtful things.
So I'll do.
Okay?
He said
he'd be so sad, but no matter what he feels inside, he always portrays himself as an angry, mean, big bad villain fraud. Why were you so mean to KD?
Yeah, why were you so mean?
Because he's every one of those things, but I was doing it in that voice. So here's the thing, though. He was not like that in Oklahoma.
Hurtful things,
right? And then he went out. He's gotten people. I don't want to get into why I don't like Kevin Durant.
Would you say you trolled him?
I wouldn't say I trolled him because I wasn't even my tweet to begin with. I pulled him into the conversation. So yeah, maybe I trolled him.
Nick was like he's out on a run, man. You're good, Nick. Don't worry, man. They're not gonna. No one's coming for you, man. You can go home now. It's all right.
I was like, seriously, I was like,
hiding
Are you in
the death threats?
Are you in a
death threats?
Undisclosed like Airbnb somewhere? Like you don't want to say where you're at? Or? That's cool, man.
Yes, it was a lot of death threats and vitriol.
Just don't go to
Brooklyn.
Don't go to Brooklyn.
We feel bad. We feel so bad for you, Nick. Hey.
Well, here's the thing. Most people agreed that are, over the age of probably 40, and most people that were younger question or disagree. But John said it right. You kind of had to see Bird, and everybody, he was unathletic. Well, you're right. And that's why he had to be 10 times ahead of you mentally, and he was. He was a stone cold killer.
We don't have to talk up Larry. Larry's status all the time cemented. The fact that Durant enters this conversation is
it's more about Durant's thin-skinned mentality about everything. It's not about Bird versus Durant.
Thin-skinned.
I tweaked him.
One of the more unlikable superstar athletes, I would say, out there today.
Horrible. I mean, he's mean to people.
Sherrod's talking to his lawyer right now.
I mean, no offense.
Sherrod's
Sherrod's
on with his lawyer.
Sherrod's talking to his lawyer right now. Like, yo, I got nothing to do with this. I didn't have any.
Sherrod wants he's like, yo, when
police reports like, yo,
this gets recorded and blasted, he's like, I want nothing to do with it.
Oh,
he's gone. Sherrod dropped, but no, I mean,
wait. Could you guys see Sherrod?
No,
we couldn't see.
I lost his picture too. That's why I just took him off.
That's why I said that joke. Yeah, that's why I said he took his camera off. Like, nope.
Yeah, he's like, I want nothing.
He was like, oh no, I'm not going to be on this screen. Someone's going to burn.
Don't get me in that screenshot. Nope.
Don't get me in that screen. Listen, man, I think everybody, probably has a burner account that are, Durant stature, but
no. Well, maybe some athletes.
I think
some athletes. Maybe I'm sure Durant's not the only one, but. Yeah.
It's not. I don't think they use them to troll fans. That's the problem. Durant uses them to troll fans.
I just do it to troll other guys in the Garden Report.
Oh yeah. John.
Now here's the thing. He didn't come at you with the burner. He came at you with KD Trey 5.
Yes, he did, but he did not retweet the video or the graphic because it's telling. I mean, every
it wouldn't even address the actual thing. Yeah. Well,
it's not.
I don't think it was. I didn't look at it like it was because you hurt his feelings. You hurt his feelings.
Yeah, you went at him and he punched back.
Nick looking for sympathy.
I think Sherrod said it best. It's so disappointing. Like I wanted him to be doing something other than looking at me. Like, who am I?
Here's the thing. It's not hurting his.
Nick's trying to teach him a lesson. This whole thing was just about a lesson. That's all.
Now, I gotta tell you the truth.
There's nothing.
Boomer lessons.
We can debate all day about his persona.
Yeah, apology camp for Nick. I like that idea. Trolling athletes.
I don't need it. He needs to apology camp me. Go ahead, Bobby.
There's nothing you can nitpick about his game. That's the thing.
No.
I mean, he's number 1 or number 2 right now. So if he wants to tweet,
that's why it's jarring to see that.
Yeah, but it's not hurting his game.
He wants to tweet.
Matter.
No.
He can do that,
Bobby. That doesn't give you license to go at
bothering
fans.
His game, I guess.
And he's also better than that. But more importantly, and you guys are gonna think I'm nuts. Fans get obsessive. It's dangerous.
Someone just said on the chat here, Bird would be doing the same thing in social media. Oh my God, guys! Bird literally doesn't even own a phone currently. Nobody knows where he is right now.
He didn't even show up. Show up to the 75th anniversary thing.
He's so right about that.
What Bird would do is punch you in the face during the playoffs if he didn't like it. That's what Bird would do. Even if it cost you a finals. If Bird didn't like what you did, he'd just walk up.
He'd be going at Nick in the crowd.
And he'd punch you in a bar and break his hand, which he did.
You can't even. You can barely get him to participate in documentaries.
Nothing.
He's just a very private guy. Yeah.
Bird's mowing lawns down the street from the Zannis household. That's where Bird lives.
Nick.
KD is different too. That's the thing. So they're both kind of different people,
Nick,
Bobby?
Nick, while we have you, Nets Celtics, what are you thinking?
I like the Celtics. I think you guys, not you guys. I think John, you're over afraid. I mean, John and I think like John in a way that when the best player's on the other team, it's kind of hard. You always want to have the best player, but they're just a train wreck. Like I don't think they have a ton of chemistry at all, and they've not played well with Kyrie. And KD had he broke his own career record, and they lost the damn game. They lost the game, I think.
Yeah, Sherrod was talking about that.
Yeah, 50 points.
So, one other thing
for his career high 60, I should have put that on there too.
Yeah.
More career points in a game.
All right, now Nick's thinking out loud. All right, Nick.
Okay,
Nick.
Nick.
Stopping by.
All right, Nick.
See you guys.
Hey,
Thanks. Sorry, let me crash. Thanks. Tell Sherrod I'm sorry. They can edit me out. Bye.
No, you're good, man. We wanted. I think there will be
we'll
another.
do some
Nick,
heavy post production after this.
there will be another Nick versus KD Trey moment this series. I think we can.
Oh
book it.
yeah.
In fact, it's your job to get
fact,
under his.
Don't
skin.
get blocked. Don't
John,
get blocked,
I may
Nick.
need some help on that one.
You're the
dude.
agitator. No, you be you, buddy. You can do this on your own.
Just
All
don't
right,
get
maybe
blocked,
not
Nick.
the Power Rage this year.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.
Go Celtics. Bye.
Oh, Nick. All right, Sherrod, come back in.
We're not going to hear the end of this. By the way, guys, you know this isn't the end of this, right? This is just the beginning. Like,
Oh my
we got a
God.
whole series now.
Hey,
We have a whole
I have a better
series.
idea. Let's send Nick to game 1.
You guys ready for?
He's gonna
We're
go
gonna
as
come
a
back.
spectator.
We're gonna come back on.
Bobby, you have to give up your press pass for Nick. Sorry, we have some drama that we need to see unfold.
No, fuck that.
We're
I
doing
want
all
him in
this.
the third row.
We're doing all this just to talk about Cavs Celtics on Tuesday. Get ready. That's where all this is
That
going.
would be so.
Well, we're gonna do it. I did want to mention one other thing. So it is interesting. We talked about positioning yourselves for playoffs and whatnot. Philly did everything they could do.
No, they lost to Toronto.
But they lost. I mean, they tried to win that though.
Yeah.
For whatever it's worth, and they tried to win out so they would avoid this position. And if they didn't lose to Toronto, they would be the 3, and they ended up the 4, and they're going to be without. We're not talking about losing a Jaylen Brown level player, but you're losing a key member of your team here in this series, and they're just openly. They traveled there without him, they lost, and now they're going to play up to 3 games without their best defensive player.
Yeah, it's shocking that someone would make that consequential of a decision in a series to just sit out those 3 games, but that's where he's at. Is he a make or break player for them? I don't know. Now, my concern,
probably not, but it's in a close series. You don't. If he were injured, we'd be talking about this being not great for Philly losing him. So everything matters here.
No, yeah, they have other guys that can fill that spot, but he is important. He's a good defender. He's part of their rotation. Like you said, though, it's not a Brown type guy.
Here he comes. Sherrod wanted nothing to do with the Nick portion of the show.
Is Nick going yet? Is he going yet?
I was like,
No.
It's like when Nick comes on, everyone just goes boop.
We should all do that. We should have him on again and all do that. Just watch him freak out about being the only guy.
Forget it. It's the best part of the show. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is the best part of the
background's what got me, man. He's just outside. I'm like,
no, he's out. He's Nick being Nick, and he's in KD's head already.
You better watch his back out there.
KD's not even here, and Nick's in his head. Okay.
Here's my thing about this series. I don't like the way Toronto matches up with Embiid. But Sherrod said earlier, like, there are just ways the Raptors just throw out double teams and whatever, and they just toss all this different defensive junk at their opponents, and they scrap it up. And like John said, they were trying to win that game in Toronto, and they lost. So you think of the Thibault, what could that impact have on the room there?
Huge.
Harden's playing terribly.
This is a coin flip series. Absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I just have so much respect for the Raptors and their ability to play up to teams. But
I think it's a coin flip series, too. Raptors are a more complete team, for sure.
Yeah, it's just that Embiid mismatch is a big one.
Yeah, but you know what? If that's the one mismatch I got to deal with and every other matchup is in my favor, I feel pretty good. I mean, who else?
That's the thing. Yeah.
And Harden would normally be in your favor, but the way he's been playing, I mean, you can't count on him to be. Yeah, and then the flip side of that, you're going to be without your best defender on the road. That's a lot of bad.
We talked about that duo.
Yep.
That duo looked unstoppable for a few games. Now Harden's shooting 40% from the field with this new team there. Like, it just went downhill so fast for that.
But isn't this
team.
par for the course for James Harden? I mean, if we start really kind
At
of
this
going
point-
through the receipts, almost every team, this is kind of what happens. Either there's an injury, there's some type of or inconsistent
Playoff
play on his
collapse.
part. Yeah, there's some kind of playoff choke job, or this is what he does everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Any hope for them, Josue?
For who? The Raptors?
Philly?
Any hope? Of course, there's hope.
What do you mean? Yeah.
I'm talking for a title run.
The way you phrase stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
A long run here.
No, I thought you meant.
I mean, John, when they put those two together, they became prohibitive East favorites. Now we're talking, maybe they'll get out of the first round.
They didn't become prohibitive East favorites.
Yes, they did.
They were my favorite, I'll admit.
We said they would be better because they were just basically adding a free player because Simmons wasn't playing at all. So you certainly thought that they would improve.
They smoked
but
those
Harden
first two teams.
Harden is, again, we couldn't tell if early season net stuff was, I don't want to be here, or the foul stuff, when he wasn't getting the calls or not coming in the best shape and he'll play his way into shape. He hasn't looked right all year. And we're not talking about off a cliff bad. He's just not that guy that you're as worried about as you used to be. He just doesn't look like it. He can definitely he can have one of those games, two of those games for sure, and he can still do great things. He's just not doing it consistently at all. He has as many 4 for 16 games with 5 turnovers as he does, big James Harden-esque performances. So he's just not doing it night in, night out. I thought he'd eventually, we thought he'd do the whole flip the switch, get to Philly, take off the fat suit and just be James Harden again. It didn't happen.
Yeah, right. It never
didn't
happened.
happen.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Do we have time to review our predictions?
Real quick, which predictions? Bold?
Our season, yeah.
No. We'll do that during the year. We're going to wrap in a little bit. I want to tell you guys, and again, this is no pressure. Bobby and I are hopping on Spaces after. We'll chat with you.
Tonight?
Yeah, baby. We talked about this.
Yeah,
I didn't know if
it was your idea, Bobby.
Jimmy said hell's no, and I said I'm doing it anyway.
I didn't say you said yeah.
You didn't say anything, actually.
I didn't see you say yeah.
I said we're doing. I said it.
Jimmy said midnight.
I might still hop on. It depends when we wrap this show.
Oh, now Jimmy's in.
I
didn't want to do it. What I said was I'm not doing it at midnight. I didn't know how late this show was going to be.
We're gonna wrap. We're gonna do Spaces at 11 o'clock. We're gonna wrap the show before that. It's 10:50 right now.
Yeah, I can get a snack.
No, you can't. You're hopping right on the friggin' thing.
What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get?
We're gonna see what's available. Probably an orange.
All right,
nice.
Nick's gonna hop on Spaces too. He's gonna talk
I
about
approve.
Orange.
Yeah. And that's
got to be Sherrod's favorite fruit.
Jimmy,
it's just bananas. Wait. Over like strawberries and stuff. You can't say that just because you went to Syracuse, man. Come on, man. There's a lot of better
oranges are really good, Josue.
What are we talking
oranges
about?
Are really good, but
oranges?
A little acidic. You don't want to get too acidic.
There's like 5 other
John, get us the hell out of here, John. Get us the hell out of here,
like
please.
5 other fruits.
Please.
Segment.
Oh, you dressed like an orange tonight, Val. By the way,
I did.
What are you guys talking about?
John, get us the hell out of here.
I will.
We'll explain it.
I don't know. We asked what kind of snack he was going to go with.
Guys, real quick, just to give a heads up. Anybody here?
Raisins here.
Oh my God! Anybody listening right now who hasn't left yet, who wants to jump on Spaces, follow us over at Celtics CLNS on Twitter or any of our handles. I've had
raisins since I was like 12.
Oh my God, Josue, we're doing business here. We're talking to the people.
Legit.
Keep going.
Follow us.
These are
okay, ready? Here we go. Mute and mute.
Well done.
Okay, excellent.
Love a
so
good raisin.
Follow us over Celtics CLNS or any of our personal handles. We'll tweet out the link. We're going to hop over on Spaces in a little bit. We always want to talk about Discord. Jimmy talks about it. Jimmy, why don't you do this promo, buddy? Go ahead.
Can you hear me, or did you unmute me?
Fruit-free Discord promo. Go ahead.
We got you.
Yeah, Discord over there, clnsmedia.com/Discord. We go over there, we shoot the shit about the game, about whatever's going on in the NBA. It'll be a lot of postseason talk.
This is going on the podcast.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of postseason talk, matchup based. Good crowd over there. A lot of diehards. There's this nice little Discord community
The
that's,
Discord's great, and you
that's
never know
growing.
when we're gonna jump in there and start an audio stream.
I'll be
so
honest. I've
keep
been
an eye
MIA for a little bit, but I'm gonna hop back in there. I always enjoy my time in the old Discord. So there's some Discord people I can see in the chat right now that they jump over here during the show, then they immediately go back to their Discord family. So CLNSmedia.com/Discord. We got a lot of stuff going. Discord, Twitter Spaces, this show.
These promos,
Big
man.
sponsor next week, by the way. I'm not going to say who they are yet, but I did tease it on my Twitter account.
Oh my
it's a
God.
PowerPoint presentation, man. The way you go through these reads.
I'm very excited about our sponsor next week.
Yes, me too.
I'm going to give them a little bit of love right out of the gate, okay? We are we're going to give them a little love right now because we're starting next week, and next week is tomorrow.
Good time.
Okay? We are very pleased.
Are you going to go
Bring back.
We are very pleased to have
everybody breathe in.
Sponsor.
Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Ooh, Sunday night. You just want to relax. You just want to chill. It's been a long weekend, probably. Maybe you went out, had a good time.
Calm.
Little Sunday scaries. The 60 minutes were ticking earlier tonight.
You need the daily calm. That's what you need.
But you know what you need with a very, very intense playoff round up ahead? You need a little calm in your life. So go over to calm.com/garden. Receive 40% off a premium subscription. I know Josue has a few premium subscriptions, but this one specifically is one.
Stop with that one.
This one specifically is one that you're really gonna.
This one appreciate. That joke is not returning to the read.
This one you're really gonna like. You're gonna use this one.
Wow.
You can use this one.
Damn.
Unlike some of the other ones, you can use this one at work. You can use this one at home. You can use it wherever you want. You can use it on the train. Whether it's sleep, meditation, music, all different sounds. You guys are really gonna appreciate. Listen, we all have. This is a fact. Everyone on the show has a premium subscription at Com, and I gotta tell you,
this is way worse than
Chef's
KD.
Kiss. Great subscription. It put you to sleep.
We do. I use it every night.
Jesus.
And that will be the last time we have Com as a sponsor. Folks.
They're here. They're here to stay, baby. Okay.
Yeah, they are
Literally.
here to stay. They are here to stay.
On the read, Jimmy.
Big thanks to a lot of the people who have subscribed because they wouldn't have come back if some of you guys didn't. So we appreciate that. But I know a lot of you that haven't yet, and I just gotta tell you, you're missing out. There's a whole other world out there in the Com world.
Still talking.
Download the app. Check it out.
Into my snack time now.
All right.
We're so far with the start time. All right, guys.
Bobby's got to get his orange. Come on,
guys. We're wrapping. Twitter Spaces is open. Thank you guys for being with us all season long. Honestly,
82. We're all done.
Thank you.
82. It's a second full season. We started in the bubble 2.5 years ago. Sherrod Blakely, we're thrilled that joined us, stuck around. Regardless of what our owner tweets at people, Sherrod is here with us. He's not going anywhere.
Sherrod's like when Danny DeVito. Sherrod's like when Danny DeVito joined the cast of Always Sunny. Just like took the show to the next level.
Next level.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow,
that's
really got Danny DeVito
really
on the
way
show.
to put it. Yeah, it was like that celeb that put.
I'm Charlie. I'm probably Charlie.
Star power. It added star
You
power.
are Charlie. You are Charlie.
Jimmy.
Yo, you are Charlie.
Yeah, I might be Charlie.
Yes.
I don't know. I might be Charlie.
Absolutely.
I'd rather be Dennis, but I might be Charlie.
But thank you guys. Honestly, I love it. I love that the chat, and everybody's active, joining our Discord community, which is great. Jumping with us on Spaces. We're gonna jump on here. You want to tell us what you think about playoff matchups? We'll hang for a little bit. We'll do more of these during the playoffs. But honestly, a tremendous pleasure to have everybody here throughout the year. And again, we're back on Tuesday to preview the Celtics' next playoff matchup, which we've already kind of previewed Brooklyn. So we're going to say a lot of the same shit if that's who it is. But if it's Cleveland, we'll have a pretty interesting conversation because
Cleveland, I need to do a lot of research.
There'll be a lot of
Jimmy's going to have to jump to YouTube and
spend like
I'm
3 minutes
watching
on
a lot of highlight reels.
Darius.
And I'm gonna have Cleveland in 5 after I get done my research.
Yeah. So our
Jared Allen is not Ray Allen's child. Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, I thought Taco's still on this team.
LeBron James still on the Cavs.
Yeah. Spaces is open, guys. We're hopping over there right now. So again, yep. Thank you guys for hanging out.
It is.
Thank you for the season. We'll see you guys Tuesday. But anyone who wants to join us, we're hopping over to Spaces now. Good night, guys.
Stay tuned for deep play.